All right, so we did the thing. We got the clutch installed, got the engine and the tranny, made it together, got it setting in with a little incline, decline, uphill, downhill action going on so that hopefully we can just slip her right in, just like that. That's how it's gonna go. What's going on, YouTube? Levi at Old Iron Off-Road here today with a video that we have been promising for some time. We have talked about this crate in a few of our videos. You've seen it as a backdrop. Now today the time has come to dig into the contents of this guy. What we have here is a drivetrain swap for a Scout 80 project that we are working on. Currently we worked on a little bit, but due to delays on engine, transmission stuff, we kind of had to shove it out to pasture, but we've managed to button up a few other projects, so now it's time to dig back into this guy. Without being too cryptic, we're gonna just go ahead and spill the beans. We've got a Cummins ISF 2.8 engine. We've got a Tremec TR 4050, and then lots of other goodies for the engine transmission side of the build. We purchased this guy through Quick Draw Brands. It's a company that puts together swap packages for Cummins platform stuff. They do the ISF, ISB, B-series engines, lots of adapters and whatnot for the specific Cummins platform. They may offer some other diesel stuff, I'm not 100% sure, but mainly it looks like they focus a lot on the Cummins stuff. So, well, you know what's in there. Let's rip the top off of it and let's dig into it. So as mentioned, we've got the Cummins engine itself. We have the Tremec TR 4050. And anybody that's not familiar with the Tremec series stuff, typically what you would use or what you've seen used in the past is the MV 4500, which is a great transmission, but it's getting more and more difficult to come up with these older components, older transmissions. You need cores, and they're actually getting hard to get. The TR 4050 is a new production transmission that is actually a heavier rated transmission than the MV 4500. The 4500, I believe, is rated to about 450 foot-pounds of torque. The TR 4050 is actually rated up to 600 foot-pounds of torque, so it is a significantly stronger transmission. It's actually a few pounds lighter, and it does offer very comparable gear ratios as compared to the MV 4500. On the engine side of things, the Cummins ISF swap package comes with pretty much everything that you need to make the engine side of things happy. It comes with the engine itself, obviously. Accessory drive, alternator, power steering pump, ECM, complete harness, and comes with a few other little odds and ends. Now, when dealing with Quick Draw Brands, they are pretty savvy when it comes to these swaps. So we opted to add on quite a few things that we were going to need to complete the swap. Engine mounts, clutch stuff, bell housing adapter. Pretty much this is just a bolt up setup. We have all the stuff we need to put AC on this guy, a particulate filter relocation bracket. So yeah, that's what we've been hiding in this little guy. So I think next step, since the truck is actually going to be coming in, we're going to pull it in here in just a second. Once we get the truck in the shop, we'll show you its pretty little face and we'll start unpacking this guy. We're going to hopefully try to get the engine transmission out of this crate, made it together, and maybe swung in between the frame rails just to kind of get a look-see at how she's going to fit. We have already done quite a bit of work on the Scout and the chassis as far as preparing for this swap. We've pulled the engine out, all the frame mounts, engine mounts, transmission mounts, all that stuff's been cut off. We are actually, as I'd mentioned, running AC on this truck, so the firewall on the little Scout 80 has been modified for our AC condenser, or I'm sorry, our AC evaporator and heater core, which is going to be ran in behind the dash. And yeah, like I said, we should be in a position today to actually get this thing mated together and swung in hanging between the frame rails. Who knows, we may even tack some metal up and get it kind of supported. So let's jump into it. So we got Mr. Green Bean in the shop. I think that's going to be his name. I just made that up. Anyway, we've got Mr. Green Bean in the shop, and we had previously done some work on this guy while we were waiting for the engine and drivetrain to ship due to the things that are going on in the world that obviously we're all having to deal with. Shipping has been delayed, so that took some significant time to actually get the drivetrain in. So like I said, while we were waiting on that stuff, we did a few little things to it. We've actually put a power steering conversion on that. That is a Jeep Grand Cherokee 2000-ish steering box. Forgive the patina on it. This thing's been kicked outside. Yes, it does have plugs on it, so no harm, no foul. We'll clean it up and paint it. The early 80s had a weird heater and fresh air intake setup. It was a big unit that actually sat on the passenger side fender, or driver's side fender well. We chose to delete that. We're actually putting an underdash unit in that has the heater core and the evaporator in it. So to make that all play out and still retain some use of fresh air, we actually modified the fresh air plenum. We blocked this guy off and chose to only run one of the dampeners in the plenum. We've also built this bump out here that is going to house it's going to allow for the evaporator unit to actually fit directly behind the dash. Dealing with 800s as far as room behind the dash goes and installing an AC, it's pretty tight. We did AC on the red Scout 80 that we built a couple years ago. There's a video on that. But yeah, there's not a whole ton of room behind the dash. You've kind of got have to get creative. So you can see here what we've done, and that allows the plenum to fit nicely. We've got a bulkhead that's going to go through there for our hoses to come out under the unit. If this was going to be a V8, well, the other one was a V8, and we actually didn't end up with any issues. So it does get kind of snug in there. You kind of got to use your own judgment when you're modifying that. That's one thing, again, I will say about the 80s and 4-cylinder 800s. They don't necessarily lend themselves kindly to drivetrain swaps. Now, obviously, it can absolutely be done, and we've done a lot of them, but they do kind of get tricky when it comes to a few little odds and ends. One thing that we're hoping is really going to help us on this one is the fact that it is a 4-cylinder still, fairly short drivetrain, not real wide. So we're hoping that we can pretty much keep the core support in place, the front cross member in place, and everything's just going to tuck nice and tidy right into its hole. Is that going to happen? Well, I guess you'll find out as soon as we do. Y'all people be like, God, cut your hair. Ow! Don't tell me how to live my life. And also, too, just to keep this just so y'all know, that's not a man bun. Check yourself. It's a doubled up ponytail. Because a ponytail, I done told y'all once, I'm going to tell you again. A ponytail hangs halfway down my back. It's not a ponytail, it's a doubled up ponytail. It ain't a man bun. Oh, it's not, yeah. It's not a man blade. All right, real quick, a couple of things real quick since we've just pulled this guy clear of the crate. Obviously, you've got tons of options when it comes to engine swaps, and a lot of people are using GM Performance or Connect and Cruise packages from GM, aftermarket harnesses. The world of LS swaps is among us. We live in it now. Everything is LS swap, LS swap, LS swap. Hey, you know, I mean, we do it too. They're great engines. You know, not to dive too far off subject, but we've got a GM-based 4.3 2001 SFCI engine. We're going to put in my crawler. I love GM stuff. It's cheap, plentiful, reliable. Comparing price on this engine to a GM Performance Connect and Cruise package. I've actually had people do this, say that the GM Performance stuff is cheaper. Kind of, not really. One thing I will say about the Cummins packages, it is literally everything the engine needs to run. You don't have to buy an alternator. You don't have to buy a power steering pump. You don't have to buy accessory drive brackets. You don't have to buy idler pulleys. You don't have to even have to buy a belt. They send you a belt. Right, y'all? One belt. So again, when comparing cost, like really take a look at what you're having to buy. Now, again, I'm not saying, obviously we've got a gas engine and a diesel engine, two different worlds, two different ends of the spectrum. And also too, I will say, I've had people call me about swapping these engines into, really, I personally don't think that these engines should go into anything other than a Scout 8800, a small SUV like an early Bronco, something like that. That would be a good swap. This engine is just not stout enough to, I shouldn't say stout enough, that's the wrong word. Will it pull a larger SUV? Absolutely. Will it be as powerful doing it? Not really. I just don't think that, even in a Scout 2, I wouldn't necessarily steer somebody towards this engine in particularly. I haven't done one. There are other people that have. They may correct me and say, Levi, you're absolutely wrong. That thing will move a Scout 2. It'll move a 1-ton pickup down the road great and tow your boat. Maybe, I don't know. But for me, I think that the Scout 8800 is a perfect platform for this engine. Again, smaller size SUV, old CJs, you know, early Broncos, things of that nature. Really good swap. But again, when comparing costs on these guys, really step back and take a look at what you have to purchase outside of the engine itself to make this thing run. Again, man, like it's all there. So that's definitely valuable to me. All right, so we got the rest of the packages out of the box, and since this is an unboxing video, I figured we would go ahead and go through all the other little pieces and knickknacks that come included in the kit. First and foremost, we have we have a fan. So we have a fan. It looks like a flex fan, and it is not. I was gonna say, if this is a flex fan, we're gonna throw it across the shop. It's not. Set of electrical connections. Actually, it looks like power, battery cables, and some connectors, user interfaces. I don't know what that does. I don't know what this do. I'm super underqualified for this. What we lack in ability and knowledge, we make up for in overconfidence. A thing, a tube thingy. This is a super educated unboxing video. We've got a fan clutch, lots of instructions. As you can see, we will be referring to these. We've got some 2.8 badges. We got some Cummins stickers, cause wow, we know we're gonna go fast with these. Belts, miscellaneous fittings and things and accoutrements. DP filter, boo. Thank you, EPA, for mandating that we filter our exhaust particulate for the dirty diesels. But this piece, this is a particulate filter relocation fitting. And we're totally about to relocate this DPF. I'm not gonna tell you where, but we're gonna relocate it. Just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. Throttle pedal. Anyway, we've got a couple of remote mount filters in this. We've got the ECM, we've got engine mounts. Typically I would make my own, but in this case they are available and they were sold with the kit. I didn't have any problem using somebody else's full clutch kit. And we also have a Cummins air compressor. Oh, that's what's underneath. That's not a filter, it's an air compressor, AC compressor. So that's the gist of what we have. Pretty much everything that you need to for the engine. Again, you know, we've already kind of covered the fact that the engine has all the accessory drive and all that stuff on there. So I think where we're at now, we're gonna clean that flywheel up, bolt the clutch kit on, and go ahead and see if we can marry the transmission and engine. And then we'll kind of set this guy in the engine compartment for the first time and kind of get a look and a feel for where things are gonna want to kind of situate themselves. All right, so we did the thing. We got the clutch installed, got the engine and the tranny, made it together, got it setting in with a little incline, decline, uphill, downhill action going on so that hopefully we can just slip her right in, just like that. That's how it's gonna go. But anyway, we measured roughly from the plenum to the front, or right in here to here. I'm not sure where I measured. Got about 28 inches. We need about 25. I think it's gonna go okay. I think it's gonna lend itself well, like I said, to keeping the cross member in place. Now, if we have to, we will totally pull this core support forward. We've done it multiple times. This was originally a 4-cylinder chassis, and you can see that we pulled that one forward and it works out fine. Just trying to make this work out with well, I'm not going to say minimal effort. Obviously, we'll do whatever we need to do to make it happy, but we're just trying to make it work without having to do a whole bunch of nonsense, a bunch of hullabaloo. We're just trying to make it work. Anyway, so we're going to take this guy, we're going to swing it in there and see how she looks. Wish me luck. Got the engine in the engine bay, just hanging there. But I think I'm happy with the position, and I think I'm happy with how everything fits. A couple of things that we ran into. There are some interference issues on the driver's side, kind of where the edge of the bell housing bumps the firewall just a little bit. We've got some body bushings that still need to go on this thing. Usually I put those on first, but I was excited and wanted to get this engine swung in here, so we kind of breezed past that. We'll throw those in there. That should alleviate some of the clearance issues, but I'll still probably go back in and nip a corner off of that guy. The engine is actually offset. We ended up, I'm gonna shift this engine over to the passenger side about an inch. It's just gonna kind of make everything play nice. The Tremec's a little wider at the top than I was expected, so it kind of gets into the top edge of the trans tunnel if I center of the drivetrain up, but a big deal. Inch, shifted over an inch. I think everything will be happy. Another thing that we ran into, or we're going to run into, the fan hub. The engine, the space between the crank and the fan hub is weird. Typically you would have, you know, your fan hub would be up here somewhere. So, so that's going to cause some issues as far as trying to run a mechanical fan. We're not running a mechanical fan. We're going to put an electric fan in it just because I like how high the engine is. I like where the oil pan's at. I like where the center of the drive line is, or is going to be. I like everything about it, so we're not going to muck with anything else. So yeah, I think a test fit overall was a success. Plans for this truck, just so you guys kind of know where we're going with it. It's going to be a daily driver. Nothing super crazy over the top. We are not going to paint the exterior, but pretty much the rest of the truck is going to be fully restored. We're going to body off the frame, cleaned up, painted chassis. We've got some Dana 44 axles that we built already for this guy. Those are his. Those will be going underneath the truck. We're using IH Parts America, CPT springs. And like I said, just make a clean, solid driver out of it. It's the goal. Something that we're, you know, throw 33s on it, nothing crazy. Just a solid runner. But yeah, I think that about nails down the video. We unpackaged the engine and we swung it in. So that's what we said we were going to do, and that's what we made happen. If you guys are watching this video still at this point, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit the like button and also click the subscribe button. It really helps us out. If you want to be notified when new videos are uploaded, click the bell icon. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. You could have done anything else with the amount of time that you spent watching this video, but you chose to watch this video, or at least part of it anyway, and I do appreciate that. And I think that wraps us up. As always, enjoy.